We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joy in My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery, a reality show where nothing is left unsaid,
and no one is insignificant who says it.
I'm joined here by my guest co-host Paul Obel and founder of Faith Unveiled Network.
Hey, it's great being here.
Welcome.
It's been a while, so yay.
Joy in My House.
Yeah, thank you.
If you don't know Paul sits on the board of directors of Joy in My House. He's also our talent director for the show, but you're also a personal mentor to me, and you've been very significant in my growth, especially my walk with Christ. So I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show.
Absolutely. Always my pleasure.
Well, if you don't know, Paul also has his own network called Faith Unveiled Network.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was last December, God laid down on my heart to start an online TV network. And I kind of brushed it aside and said, no, that's not what I do, and that's not what I want to do. So 3 people came to me just, out of the God and asked me if I ever thought about starting an online TV network.
Wow.
And so one morning, God woke me up about 5 o'clock in the morning, and this is a short version of the story, but God woke me up about 5 o'clock in the morning and said, get to my computer. And so when I did, he just started downloading all these ideas in my head. And literally within 6 hours of not getting up from my desk, I had the website, the network built, done, finished, ready to go.
Wow.
And so God has just taken it over from there, and it's growing exponentially, and just I'm amazed on how fast it's growing and what God's doing for it.
Well, that's amazing, because today is our Father's Day special.
Yeah.
And I want to say Happy Father's Day to you,
Thank you. You
Paul.
as well.
Happy Father's Day to our producer,
Yeah.
Richard. Happy
Yay,
Father's
Rich.
Day to all our fathers out there. And our guest today is also a father. And it's interesting how God orchestrates everything, puts people in our lives. Like He put you in my life, and you pushed me to do this show as well. Now you have your own network. But I wanted to touch on being a father, because it's so important for the fathers out there to speak life into our children.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit what that must feel like, because you raised a set of twin girls.
Yeah, twin girls. They're now moms themselves. And me, I love being a grandfather. But, trying times, wonderful times. and that's the father all rolled up in one. Sometimes you just want to strangle them and stuff like that. But I enjoyed raising my daughters. They're identical twins. And I really enjoyed raising them and watching them grow. And it's fun watching a child learn new things as they get older and as they grow older. So I got to watch that, and it was just a joy in my heart. There's a lot of times that I made mistakes as a father, because they don't come with manuals, and
that's right.
and so you have to identify the personalities and stuff like that. But the reward, I have great reward. And today I'm a very, very proud father because of who my daughters turned out to be and what they turned out to be. And both of them love God.
Wow.
My grandchildren they're being raised in church and loving God. And so I'm just very proud to be called Dad.
Amen. Well, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Happy Father's Day. And to all the fathers out there who and on this Father's Day, we celebrate our fathers, but there's also people out there who are struggling with that, whether they have some dysfunction with their father, or maybe their fathers are not present, or maybe even deceased. We want to just extend our love and our hope here that God can come in and actually be an amazing father to us, even in the absence of our earthly father.
Absolutely. I found out that watching people and studying people and being a mentor and counselor most of my life, that you can identify a relationship with God with a relationship with the natural father.
Wow.
A lot of times you can see that. So I encourage those people, if they've had a horrible relationship with their father, get to know Christ. Get to
Amen.
know him. He can replace all that. He can change all that. And there was a time in my life that I hated my dad. I just could not, just didn't want to be around him, didn't like him. There were things that he raised us with and didn't raise us with. And there was a time where I had to set my dad down. And this is me knowing Christ my whole life. And me sitting down and saying, and God rebuking me and saying, hey, I love you.
Wow.
And because I love you, you need to love.
Extend that love.
You need to extend that same love that I give you. So I sat my dad down one day and I just told him everything I thought about him. I told him that I hated him. I told him about the things that disgusted me, and my dad broke. He just broke. And we had a long tearing session, crying session. And he asked for forgiveness, and I began to understand that he did what he knew to do.
Right, he did the best he could.
He did what he knew to do and what he did. So my father and I, of course, he's dead now, but those last years of his life, we grew very tight and close, and I knew how to love my dad for the first time.
Wow.
That I knew how to love dad like a son should love a dad.
Amen for
So
that, Paul.
I taught my dad how to say I love you.
You had
he
mentioned
never
that
did,
on
yeah.
the show before. They had never mentioned it,
Yeah.
and you guys had that amazing time together towards the tail end of his life. But we hope that you out there listening and viewing find hope and inspiration in the stories that our guests tell here. Their transparency is to be praised, because it's not easy to come and share our heart and to put it on the line out there for the public, for you guys to listen and hear. But we hope that you find that inspiration and hope through these stories, because we had a great show for you last week. Rochelle was on the show. She
was great.
Fashionista, a motivational speaker, a TV writer, a host, and she has her own show called Divine Appointment on Faith Unveiled Network.
Yeah.
What an amazing woman that had her challenges and struggles, but kept on persevering.
She did. And, when I first met her, just immediately our spirits connected. She specializes in divine appointments. She's always asking God for them, always gets them. Even when we met, it was a total divine appointment.
And she mentioned that on the show.
And, she's a great young lady for God, on fire for God, and her husband as well. They're a great pair together.
They are. They complement each other, and how they're supportive of one another to build in God's kingdom, which I thought was amazing.
Absolutely.
We want to know that you can follow us on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. If you like the page, you receive up-to-date lineups of guests and information. We also have a Twitter page, twitter.com/joeinmyhouse, and you can also follow us on Instagram. All these links are there for you guys to engage with us, for you guys to tell us your story, the joy that you have in your house. Today on this Father's Day special, I'd have to say the joy that I have is being able to be a father, being able to be present there for my children. I have 3 children. My oldest is 18. I'm also a grandfather. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter, which is a little beyond me, but an amazing blessing to be.
You look great also for being 56 years old.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I get the opportunity also to, because my daughter's so young and she's still finishing up school, I get to take care of my granddaughter, especially during the school season. And I felt I was getting older much faster. I don't know about having children now at my stage in life, but it's amazing for those of you out there who are still having children and still becoming fathers, or have a pregnancy on the way. It is an amazing joy to be present in our children's lives and to speak into their lives as they teach us. Like you said, we're not always perfect, but we love our kids. So amazing Father's Day special today.
Yeah, when my oldest grandson turned 15, I told him, I said, dude, you're really making me look old. And he goes, yeah, Papa, that's what I'm here for.
That's exactly. They make us feel
That's
old.
what grandkids.
But we have an amazing show for you today here on Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. He's an actor and an entrepreneur. His name is Tank Jones. He's been seen on Breaking Bad, CIS Miami, and those are just a few of his credits. You're not going to want to miss. This is Joy in My House, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, we're going to come back with Tank Jones. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Dr. J, inviting you to join us every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. for the Happy Health Radio Show. Join us as we discuss issues affecting your health and well-being, where we listen, analyze, and talk with a heart. So don't forget to tune into Happy Health Radio Show every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. exclusively on latalklove.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Join My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery. I'm joined here by my guest co-host, Paul Obel, and our in-studio guest, Tank Jones. Welcome to the show.
Yay, Tank.
Thank you for having me. Oh, heavy applause.
Tank, you're not only an actor, you're an entrepreneur, but you're also a father.
Yes,
so
sir.
Happy Father's Day today.
Absolutely.
Happy Father's Day on
Thank
this Father's Day Sunday. We always like to let our audience and our viewers get to know you a little bit as we share our stories. We hope that we inspire and touch some of the people through our lives. And I think, God put us on this search for these relationships.
Yes.
So I got to ask, how did you meet Paul? Because Paul is the one that orchestrated this divine appointment.
Right.
He sits on the board of directors of our show. And a lot of times somebody calls me, I get inundated with guests wanting to come on the show. And I do this, I do that. And I have to do my research.
Right.
But when Paul books him, I know he has great discernment. So how did you two meet?
Well, it sounds like it was a mistake. I'm sorry that you had me on the show.
We apologize to the
Right,
audience
in advance, for having me on the show. I actually met Paul just maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half.
6 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, at a movie premiere. So we have a mutual friend, Harvey. Happy Father's Day, brother.
Yeah.
And we had a film that debuted out in LA called Union Bound, and I happened to be one of the leads in that. And I met Paul and his lovely wife, and it was not a long meeting. It was a short meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we reached out to one another on Facebook, and I was perusing, if you will, and I saw a comment that he and his wife had left on Facebook with regard to the film, and particularly myself and the performance, and I was so touched by it. I messaged him back to tell him, and then we ended from there. We've had a couple of conversations. We had a nice, long, lengthy one a couple weeks ago, and then he said, you got to come on the show. And I missed the first one because I was out shooting the film in North Carolina, but I said, you know what, I'm going to make the time. He said, well, it's Father's Day. I said, I think my kids will forgive me for this one, especially as long as I shout them out. So
Exactly.
I'll get a chance to see him right after this. So that's why I'm sitting in this chair right now.
Yeah.
That's amazing because, I have friends in the movie industry, and when the show first debuted, I called them all up and tried to get them to come on the show. Nobody called me back. But when I just started surrendering it and saying, God, you booked the show. You know who needs to be sitting there at what time. God just took over.
Yes, sir.
So this is a divine appointment, as we were talking about earlier. How amazing.
When we mentioned Harvey. Harvey's our good friend. Harvey also does a lot of work. We do a lot of work together. And we were invited to the red carpet event to the opening of Union Bound movie. And my wife and I were sitting there watching the movie. And the movie was going along, and then all of a sudden this guy appears on the screen, and the movie changed. I'm telling you, the movie literally changed.
Wow.
Tank was the guy who brought the soul, the emotion, the feelings to the movie, and you could just see it oozing out of him. And my wife and I, it was such a dramatic change
It was
that
so
he
apparent, right?
brought to the movie that my wife and I both looked at each other and said, "That dude's got it. That guy."
And now I'm
I
about
just
to
gotta
start
meet
crying
that guy.
right now.
Meet that guy. That guy has just got it. And that's why I made effort to make my way up to the front and introduce myself to him and then later we connected on Facebook. But
Thank
that's,
you, Paul.
that's Tank.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys don't see, but I'm slipping him a 20 underneath the table. Right?
Well, let's get the audience and viewers get to know you a little bit, because you have a lengthy career, and where is shown on camera now has been forged throughout the years. So where did you grow up, Tank? Let's get your family of origin.
Well, all right then. Let's sit back. I actually grew up on a farm in Illinois, outside of Chicago, small farm town called Hopkins Park, Illinois. And some people may know it, may not, but Oprah did a show on it a few years ago, calling it one of the poorest places in the country.
Wow.
But growing up, we didn't know. Had fun. Grew up in trailers. Learned how to drive on a tractor.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, my first address didn't even really have an address. It was a rural route, and I always remember it. Rural Route 4. That was my original address.
Wow.
So yeah, but fun times as a kid.
Any siblings, brothers, sisters?
Oh yeah, I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and actually just got to see them not too long ago. They live in Ohio now, and most of the family's around my mom and my grandma, who's getting up there in age. She's 88 now. Love you, Granny. And got a chance to, when I was shooting out in North Carolina, I got a chance to surprise all of them, because they didn't know that I was there. So
Yeah. Wow. Now, are you the middle child?
I am the oldest.
The oldest.
Yes. So
That's what's
everyone
gonna be my
must
next
listen
guess.
to me.
Hey,
That's
you
gonna
lead
be
down
my
the
must
next-
listen to me.
next guess, yeah. Middle or oldest. One of the
Yes.
two.
Well, let's talk about growing up. Were you a church-going family?
Oh yeah, I grew up in the church, and my mom grew up in the church. I actually got a chance to see my mom. We were just talking about this when I was back in Ohio. Rededicate her life when I was 7 years old in the church. I still remember that day, because see, my mom was a young mom. She had me when she was 15, and she always finds herself trying to apologize to her kids for some of the things she did when she was a young parent. I said, Ma, please, I don't even remember half the stuff that they're talking about, and I also understand you were young. You don't have to apologize to me. You were doing the best you could. And I still specifically, though, remember, I was 7 years old, remember that day, and remember being in church when she rededicated herself. And yeah, we went to church, Wilson Memorial, Pastor Elder Wright, who I grew up under, Church of God in Christ. So yeah, church family.
Well, that's always good. You know, your mom put a foundation for you guys where you guys can rely on God when you guys come through challenges, because I can only imagine growing up in that rural area, the things that you must have seen, the things that you must have gone through. So let's talk about a little bit about your adolescence.
Okay.
You're growing up, rural area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll take it a little bit back, if you will, into family and relate it that way. My mom and my dad separated when I was very young, and I would spend the weekends with my dad in the city, and I would spend the week in the country with my mom. So I actually got the best of both worlds, if you would, or if you will. And being a teenager we had a good time when I was there. I'm not really sure of issues that you would say that we faced, but when you don't have a whole bunch to do, you kind of make up interesting things to do. So you find ways to get in trouble. And we hung out, but I will be honest with you, I never fell for a lot of the trappings that a lot of kids, if you will, during that time would have. Even now, drinking never appealed to me, smoking never appealed to me, drugs never appealed to me.
Wow.
And yeah, I've never done it. And of course, the peer pressure, and people would try to call you square, but I was also very good at sports, and at least people would say you had a presence. So I only got pressured once, and that's no. Okay. And everybody
moved on.
Yeah, and moved on.
Right,
So
right.
So you found a lot of your praise and your growth in sports.
yes, but I'll give you the story though on sports, and again, going back to Christ. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Awana Camp.
Awana Camp.
Yeah, Awanas is when growing up, Bible Witness Camp is a place that I went to, and you would get what they call verses. If for memorization, we would have competitions where we would compete against other Bible Witness camps or Awanas camps across Illinois, where you'd go and they had a book. It's basically learning about the Bible. And we had competitions, and I'm very competitive, and I would always win those competitions. And I stayed out of a lot of sports, particularly track, until I was a junior in high school, when I could no longer do Awana Camp. And
Wow.
all the way up until I was a junior. So yeah, I played basketball, I played football, I ran track, but I didn't do that until I was a junior in high school because I was so enamored with the whole Bible Witness Camp Awana process.
Wow.
So you were athletic. What was your sport of choice? You said track.
During then, basketball, and I did love track. And the fun, because people have asked me why didn't you do it when you were in college. We can get to that in a bit. But yeah, basketball and a little bit of football. I wasn't much into football. I played for a year, but I was more into basketball and track.
Well,
He has a
before
little height on him.
A little bit.
Yeah.
If I stand up, you can see it. Yeah.
well, I want to before I go into your college years,
hmm
your first acting debut job, you were very young,
Yes.
and it was on Sesame Street.
Well, it was a Sesame Street commercial.
It was a Sesame
Yeah.
Street commercial. Okay.
When I was
Well, tell
2
us about
years
that.
old, and my mom knows more about this than me, but this is actually part of the story of how I ended up becoming an actor. Because, in all honesty, I barely remember much of anything about it. I've even tried to look for it online,
Did you?
honestly. And I had an agent when I was a kid, and my mom got scoliosis really bad. So this was my debut. I had an agent that auditions, et cetera, et cetera. But like I told you, we lived outside of Chicago. We were 40, 50 miles south. So when she had a bout of scoliosis, she was bedridden for a year. So no auditions going anywhere. Nobody's taking me to anymore. A lot of them didn't even know in my family that I had an agent. So
Wow.
that was the first and the last thing that
Yeah.
I did. And then I was talking about the church and growing up in the church. When my mom rededicated her life, she was a choir director. She was the theater director too. So I played Jesus a whole lot when I in the church plays.
Well, how interesting. 'Cause
My mama's choice.
Yes, mom's
Exactly.
choice.
but God was developing your craft
Yes.
even at that young of an age, and you would think you had such an opportunity having an agent.
Yes.
You're ready to take your career to the next level, but God put a stop to it.
Yes.
Put you in the church and started really working on your craft and on you.
Indeed, and I said it was a lot of fun. I have fond memories of the different churches that we did. I had a lot of monologues. My uncle likes to tease me even to this day because I didn't stutter, but apparently sometimes when I would do my lines, I would stutter. And there was a line where say it was Easter today. And he always liked to say, it was the Easter day. And he said, that's what I said when I was a kid. I said, I don't remember that.
You're like, no, that wasn't me.
Wasn't me. You have no video footage of this. It does not exist.
There you go. If it's not on Facebook, it
That's
doesn't
right.
exist,
It does
right?
not exist.
That's mean and funny.
And if you got it, you better not put it up. Okay, no.
Well, having had the opportunity to have you sent me over your bio, you mentioned something about an experience you had in high school that really forged some of your principles to this day.
Mhm.
And I didn't have a chance to elaborate with you over that, but I wanted to ask you, what were you talking about, and what is mentioned in your bio where you talk about the experience in high school?
Okay, so it was actually that goes into another segment that I know something you want to speak about. But the high school was me actually being at someone else's high school when I was in college.
Okay.
So again, growing up in a rural area, I went to Moments High School, and when I created my Choices program, there was a young lady who was considering and contemplating suicide that I didn't know about that when I visited their school. And this is after I've created the Choices program. And I was doing Choices, performing, and we'll talk a little bit about it now. I'm not being cryptic, but I'm also, so we can elaborate on it later. I was performing, and apparently this young lady had stood up next to me, and a teacher sent me a message a few years later, or no, I'm sorry, not a few years later, a few days later, telling me, I don't know if you know about the lives of people that you touch or who you've been around, but there was this young lady who you took a picture with who was contemplating suicide just a few days before. And when you could see, she really your message really resonated with her, and when you took the picture with her, it just made her day. And he said she told me she's a completely different girl now.
Wow.
And when I got that message, what it did for me is it helped strengthen the backbone and the structure of my program, Choices. And that segues to when I went back to my high school. I did not get along with my Spanish teacher, Ms. Pap is what her name was. I have the utmost respect for authority, except when authority doesn't seem to have the baseline respect it should for those who they have authority over. I can be rebellious. And her and I clashed a lot in freshman, sophomore, and junior.
Oh, wow.
But when I became a senior, things kind of changed, and we kind of developed this mutual respect for one another, and we became almost friends. So when I went back to my high school had been following my career. Didn't know this. They had pictures up, they had magazine articles that had been written on me, and I was really, really floored. And they told me, your Spanish teacher, Mrs. Pat, is the one who's been finding this stuff and posting it. So I went to her class, gave her a hug. She had kids that were in there, and she introduced everybody. And some of them knew me because I went to school with some of their brothers and sisters. And she asked me to talk, impromptu talk. And I said, I didn't mean to turn it into a stay in school type speech, but I said, look, you've got choices at this stage and at this age. A lot of people from where you're at to a school, nobody knows who you are. You think you're just this small fish in this huge ocean. And I'm here to tell you, the choice is yours. You can go out there and forge your path and make your way. You have a choice of whether or not you want to sit and wallow and complain about circumstance of who you are and where you're from, or you can go out there and if there's no door there, build one. And I said, we talked about the choices that some of my classmates had made, and then now since some of them I've found out are now on the right path, but some of them weren't so much. And I was just talking about the fact that I'm driven. This is something that I want to do. And it resonated, and she told me the same. And that's how Choices was born. Going back to my school and having a message that kids really, and I just wanted to, after seeing the impact, I wanted to impact more people. Not from a selfish, egotistical standpoint, but just that's what's on my heart to do.
Right.
Well, that's why you're so appropriate for the show, because you are, with that message, you're impacting them, and vice versa. You're getting fulfilled in your gifts.
Absolutely.
And then you're going back out there and developing your gift more, and then the cycle begins because you continued your career in acting. Tell us what challenges that you face in that, because you're preaching to these kids to follow this dream, but you yourself are following your passion, your dream. What challenges what obstacles were presented to you in your path, in your career?
So I talked about this to several friends and family members too. Tons. So I've been a professional. Now, let me even back it up. Like I told you, I didn't remember a whole bunch, and my career got cut short. Scoliosis, no more. But I did do theater in school. Also did theater in the church. When I was a freshman, there's this girl. Her name was Becky Alwyn. I always remember this because I didn't. I'll give you a quirky fact about me. I never wore jeans until I was an adult. Never, ever wore jeans until I would always wear slacks or wear something else. Didn't even own a pair. And the reason is because I just wanted to be different. Everybody else had a pair of jeans. I didn't want to have a pair of jeans because everybody else had a pair of jeans. I would shop at places that people couldn't find the clothes that I had just because I wanted to be different from everybody else. So true.
We just have something in common because I never wore jeans when I was a kid growing up.
Really?
What?
I'm serious. I never wore jeans. It was always slacks. And my reason was because my dad was a pastor, and all we had was church clothes. So we had, that's all I wore was church shoes and slacks. I never wore jeans until after I think my last year of high school. I bought a pair of jeans and wore them towards the end of it.
You broke down. I didn't break. I kept strong.
They're like, what? So, wow.
That's very interesting. It is, because it seems like people who have certain gifts and really want to stand out and do something, you can see them from a young age that their progression is going for something a lot greater.
Well, that's so Becky, back to that story, she would tell me, because of this, you know what, you always dress really nice, you're a nice looking guy, you should model. And I said, you think so? She's like, yes, you should model. And I went home and I told my mom.
I was always told I had a face for radio, man. You need to get a radio someday with those slacks.
No, look at this. No. And a couple of weeks later, I had a card from a company, Barbizon. I'm sure a lot of people know Barbizon Modeling School. And my mom, she put me in modeling school. Wow. And I actually had another job after I graduated modeling school, and then the head case started happening. And my mom, being a good mom, she took me out of the business again.
Wow.
Because again, I became, teenager, head case. You
Right.
think everything, hormones going, testosterone finally
Right.
building up. You think you know everything. Well, again, my mom, she apologizes for a lot of things, but that was a great thing that she did. You know
Amen,
what? You're not. This is not happening. So she took me out. But it only solidified the fact that I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to be in that world. So I actually moved out to Arizona with my dad to be close to LA. So the plan was to make the transition over there, and I was in Arizona, so hey, they want me to get my degree, so I might as well go to Arizona State. And I did graduate from Arizona State with a degree in marketing, honors,
Amen.
cum laude, cum laude.
Wow. Well,
I'm a good student.
Well, congratulations on that,
Mhm.
because even
Yeah.
though you were following your passion,
Hmm.
you still were diligent and submissive to what your parents wanted.
Right.
And that was to get your degree.
Yes.
Which I think that's amazing. A lot of times these kids, they want to follow their passion, but they want to let go of everything.
Hmm.
Let me just do this, when sometimes they need a good foundation. They
Right.
need some good direction and somewhat of a balance, which is what you had.
Oh, I love my parents, and I haven't always, and we'll probably get to that in a little bit too. But I want to make sure that I answer your question in regards to the acting thing. So I'll make it a little more succinct. I've had a ton of challenges since I've decided to become a professional, if you will. I've been a SAG actor now for almost 20 years. Not quite, but almost. But I have taken, if people were to look at my IMDb, you'll see long breaks in there. 5-year break, and I think a 6-year
Wow.
break in different places. So I've been professional for that long, but I was not pursuing it full time during that time. And there's a lot more to it. If you want to ask questions, feel free. I will happily talk about it. But I've had a lot of times where I knew this is what I wanted to do, but I do have other gifts. So I was running a company, I was running a record label, I was doing every other thing. I had a technology company in 2014, and I was frustrated. And again, know how to do a lot of different things, but I was frustrated at the time. And our good friend, Harvey, who I've known now for 7, 8 years, I was talking to him. I was in Arizona at the time. I was really, I actually frustrated to the point tears. I'm, it's hurting. I feel the most free and the happiest when I'm on a film set. Whether it's in front of the camera, just sitting down, watching the whole process. I love everything about acting. I love to read. I have a 12-step process of how I develop characters. I've started writing. This is what I love to do. But it took me going around this long circle. It seemed like just all it was on a treadmill. You've got all these great credits. You've done all these things. But what forward momentum have you built? And I'm expressing this to my friend. Again, I'm in tears about it. And I was in Arizona. He happened to be in Arizona at the time. And he said, I'm actually out here shooting a film. Why don't you come by the studio where we're shooting?
Wow.
So you're in Arizona right now. He's like, yeah. I'm saying I'm in Glendale. So I went down there. I went to go see him. And we're talking. He's introducing me to everybody. And he said, 6 or 7 weeks from now, I'm shooting this film in North Carolina called Union Bound.
Wow.
And I want you to take a look at the script. And he said, I can't promise you a role, but I want you to take a look at the script.
Wow.
And I said, I'm not sure what you could do, but we'll see if we can figure something out. I read the script and I gave him some notes, loved the script, and I started doing some research. And my character, who Paul and his wife saw me play, Jim Young, in the film, they were offering that role to a gentleman, a more well-known actor who used to play I think season 1, season 2 of The Walking Dead.
Wow.
And after giving him my notes and Harvey knowing me for a while, he's like, you know what? I know you. I've seen you reel. I know what you can do. I believe you can pull this role off. So I'm going to talk to the producers at the studio, see if I can get them to sign off to get you to play the role.
Wow.
And that's how that happened. I was at a point where, if you will, I was at my week. Yeah, you can look at my IMDb. You can look at different parts that I've played. But like I said, I've done these different things, but no forward momentum. And I wasn't completely focused on it. I'm completely focused on it, and I've been completely focused on it for the last 2 years, and doors are opening. I have a mantra that I say, if you will, every day. I give glory and honor to God for it. And this circuit is opening up. Make good people like this guy. I've got scripts now coming to me of people asking me to play, people seeing this film, looking at other. I just shot a horror film in North Carolina. Gentlemen saw my reel, and I have to have you in this movie. And those types of calls are starting to happen now.
What's very interesting about what you're sharing right now is that a lot of people go through this downfall or this depression, and it's during that time that they have a self-realization and they have an epiphany where they realize what their passion is, and it's almost when they're the most painful period, and that's when God catapults them to the next level. I read
a lot. And that's what, if I can encourage anybody who's listening or watching this, I encourage you to pick up a couple of bios on some people that you know, Honda being one of them, and the guy that wrote The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill, of Think and Grow Rich fame, and there's plenty of other ones who struggled. Zig Ziglar, who also was a man of faith, who I got to see before he passed away, talks about the early struggles of he and his wife before they finally made it. There are all those stories out there. Tony Robbins, again, and I'm talking when he was younger and talking, just giving it all up. Fat kid that's hanging out on the beach, watching Luke and Laura on General Hospital. There's stories upon stories upon stories, and when you finally surrender, and you begin to push forward, that's when and you make that conscious decision. Yeah. And nothing's going to stop me. You burn the boats behind you, and you just forge a path and move ahead. And that's the place where I had to get to. Yeah. And if you read other people, that's the path that they had to get to. The writers of Chicken Soup for the Soul, same thing. I've got Mark Victor Hansen. There's so many out there.
There really is. And Paul has come on the show and shared messages over and over again. And he talks about this decision to choose joy, this decision to choose happiness, this decision. It has to be a choice that's made.
Yes.
And sometimes it comes in our deepest, darkest hole, but it's still nonetheless a decision that we have to make to persevere on, to stand up, or whatever in our weakness.
Yes.
Give in. And that's what happened to you.
Yes.
Because you did get the lead role to the film.
And things have completely, if you have changed. As I said, people that have seen it, and I've seen some of the comments, and it got theatrical release. It has actually been reviewed well. People have talked and said different things that have made me smile, if you will, in regards to performance, talking about awards. I don't know if it's going to do all of that, but it has helped me. And it also, it proved to me that this is what my gifting is. This is what God has put. This is my definite chief aim, if you will, and it's to actually travel the world making films and making a positive impact on other people around the world.
The movie did win Best Picture with the International Christians Association, something like Film Association.
Well, congratulations.
It got Best Picture, so
congratulations.
well deserved. Yeah.
Well, being our Father's Day special and talking about our gifting, God gives us these tools as gifts to give back, but one of our priorities as a father is to also give back to our children.
Yes.
And it's something that I wanted to touch on before we go to our commercial break, are some of your accolades, because you've been on the movie Three Kings with George Clooney, Ice Cube, and Mark Wahlberg, and you've been on Breaking Bad, you've been on CIS Miami, Rules of Engagement, but one of your main roles is being a father.
Oh yeah.
And let's touch on that. How is it also going through these challenges, finding your gifting, finding your purpose, but still being a father?
First, let me say that I love being a dad. I absolutely, I cannot understand for the life of me how anyone who brings a child into this world who can walk away from them or just can't be there to watch all the stages of growth. People have asked me, just wait till your kids get 2, or wait till they get in school, or wait till your girls become teenagers. I said, wait for what? I'm enjoying it now.
Right now.
I said, when they were a baby and they had you waking up, I said, the joy of that. You know how fast that goes by? My daughters are now 10 and 12 years old. My son's 4. I'm trying to enjoy all of it. I take it I try not to get angry or upset at anything. I let my kids know all the time. We talk every day. My girls, we have an open, transparent, honest relationship. I've had something that I spoke over them every single day since they were kids, and now before they go to bed. They say it every day. I'm smart. I'm beautiful inside and out. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I can do all things through Christ who lives in me. I'm a champion. I will give my very best effort in everything I do. That's their mantra, and they say it every day. And now I've changed it a little bit because I want it, now that they've become to an age of understanding, it's now based on the fruit of the Spirit. Health, wealth, joy, peace, favor, abundant prosperity. Those, and this is where this is every day. I pick up my son. I hug when I come home, and my dad or my son runs up to me, Daddy. I mean, I love
Priceless.
that, man. Yes.
Priceless.
I put a message on Facebook and social media today. Keep the cape on, because I put a picture of a dad who was going off to work. His little son is sitting, tugging, if you will, on his knee, and he's got stars in his eyes. The dad actually has on a suit and tie, but the son sees a Superman outfit.
That's right.
And I try to do the best that I can for my girls and my kids the same. I'm telling, man, I love being a dad. It's like, as a matter of fact, after this show, I said that's where I'm going. I'm going to hang out with my kids. My daughters made me breakfast in bed yesterday, and I love that stuff, man. I have daddy-daughter dates. I have daddy-son dates. I mean, yeah, man, I love it.
Dads, grab that message. That is so important to lift our kids
Okay,
up.
I know this is. I got to hold on. One more thing about the thing, because I almost forgot. I used to do this thing called Pad Talk, and your show so much reminds me of the Chronicles and Treasure Box series that I do. I love this, by the way. Thank you for having me on. But I used to do this thing called Pad Talk, and I know this. Don't get upset with me when I say this, but when I tell you what PAD stands for, but I have to say it because it relates to dads. And it was born out of, I saw this father who was at a T-Mobile store, I think, or at Subway. And his kids were in the car screaming at the top of their lungs. And he, instead of instructing them, if you will, or being a dad, jumps out the car and calls their mom on the phone. I can't handle these kids. You need to come. Are you serious? So Pad Talk, P-A-D, forgive me, P, punk, A, S, D, dad, Pad Talk, because I wanted to talk about these things, because fathers have to be that rod, if you will, in their kids, in their kids' life.
Absolutely. Dads, don't be a babysitter.
Yeah.
Be a dad.
There dad, man.
Great message right there. Don't be a babysitter.
Yes.
Because it is our job to direct,
Yes.
especially being the spiritual leaders of our home as well. It is our job to lay down those rules, and our partners come alongside us, and our wives that assist us in that development for our children. But yes, we have to not be flimsy. We have to be
not
firm.
a dictator, but firm.
Firm.
Great. That's what it is. Yes.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk about you creating success journals to take you from where you are to where you want to be, because this is something that you designed and you created.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joy in My House. We're here with Tank Jones, actor and entrepreneur. You're not going to want to miss when we come back. This is Joy in My House.
Joy in my house. Joy. I got joy.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Marsha Waiteka, inviting you to join me every Monday at 1 p.m. for Born to Talk, where conversation plus connections equal community. Starting Monday, April the 13th, be sure to tune in to Born to Talk with Marsha Waiteka, Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also listen live at iTunes Radio R&B, TuneIn Radio, Radio Flag, Live 365, or AHA Radio. This is reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. We are LA Talk Live, and we are born to talk.
Hi, I'm Ro Williams, and I would like to invite you to join GospelRhythms.com live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our new show, Gospel Rhythms Talk Live. Join us as we celebrate, promote, and elevate Christians in entertainment. So don't forget to tune in to Gospel Rhythms Talk Live exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio under R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is Gospel Rhythms on LA Talk Live, where we don't just talk about it, we are about it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Joy in My House, inspirational reality show with a touch of recovery. A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it. And I always have problems with that line. So
and I'm here with my guest co-host, Paul Obel.
Great to be here.
Founder of Faith Unveiled Networks, and our in-studio guest, Tank Jones, actor and entrepreneur. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. This is fun.
Great show. Great show. I'm enjoying this completely.
Same here. You know, we get so many amazing guests, and like yourself, you have such a presence that sometimes we get captivated in your story that we lose sight that we're actually doing a show. So I hope you out there give us a little bit of grace, and hope you're enjoying today's show with Tank Jones, because you're doing amazing things not only in your acting career but also in your giving back, because you founded Choices Education Empowerment, but you didn't stop there. You continued your growth to giving back because you started your success journal. Tell us about that journal that you designed to hopefully bring some hope for some of us out here who are trying to find that success.
Right. So Choices was created. I talked about it already, from going back when I was in high school and having that conversation with Mrs. Papp. And I started going to schools. I'd perform in schools. I'd talk to the kids about Choices. That's the name of the program, Choices Education and Empowerment, Inc. And we have an acrostic, and that acrostic is You Can. And You Can is spelled U-K-A-N. And then people will see it, and they say, that's not how you spell You Can. Is that you ran? And you don't know how to spell. I say, well, that's part of the thing, because most people, when they look at anything, they automatically see the problem. But within every problem is also the seed and the solution. So You Can acrostic stands for you. It starts with you, your belief and your faith in yourself to be able to get something done. But you have to know who you are inside and what you really want. And then you have to make a plan to get it. And then keep moving forward with a never give up attitude. And if you apply that methodology to anything in life, you can achieve success in that given area. So I have a friend of mine. His name is Dr. Michael Harry. And some may actually know that name because Michael created Six Sigma when he was at Motorola back in the mid-'80s. He's my mentor. He's also my son's godfather. And he has Six Sigma. He created this program called the Great Discovery, which is basically the DNA of Six Sigma. And it's about personal development. And it's an actual plan to move from where you are to where you want to be. And it's based on science. So we took his science and we took my intuitiveness of my program, the You Can program. We combined them together to create the Success Journal. So it's based on the methodology of Six Sigma, which is very successful. It's actually used by over 50% of Fortune 500 companies today, and popularized by Jack Welch when he was at GE. And say, if you don't know it, trust me, Google it. It works. It's taking companies from losing hundreds of millions to making billions. And we talk about knowing who you are, making your plan, knowing what are you saying to yourself, because you guys remember, I have a mantra that I spoke over my kids ever since they were born. Right. And they have to say it and audibilize, because in the word, the power of life and death.
That's right.
Right here. Most people don't understand what that means, though. Oh, I've got an ache. Oh, I've got a pain. How are you feeling today? Oh, this, and then I got all these issues and troubles. Come and say, you got to understand, what is it that you're putting out of your mouth? You almost have to hypnotize yourself on a daily basis of knowing the path that you want to push and go toward.
Oh, I preach that message, don't I?
Say, man, otherwise you're hypnotized by all the problems and pains of the world, and you're just flowing by the wayside. Whatever the way the wind blows, that's the way you're blowing until you get succinct direction. And that's how the Success Journal was born. It's based on the message of You Can, the DNA of Six Sigma with the Great Discovery and anybody. It's palatable for, we created a version for kids because we actually gave a lot of these books away to schools when we go speak. And you can also find them on my website for people who want to pick up one too, because we do it for elementary as well as all the way up to adults. I spoke at a couple seminars. Keller Williams had me in to speak, and whenever I get a chance, I like to go out and talk to people about it. If they want to get one, I've got them, and I think
TankJones.com.
Oh yes, TankJones.com. Again, I'm slipping him another 20.
But I gotta ask, I guess, what people are probably wondering who are viewing and seeing, why would you do this?
Okay, so I have a great relationship with my parents, and they will tell you I don't honestly, Joel. It's just innate in me. It's something that I've always wanted to help people in some way, shape, or form or fashion. It's part of my daily that I say every day. Again, my first sentence from my chief aim is I would like to travel the world making A-list films and helping to motivate people along the way. It does my heart some good. And not that I believe that my way is the right way, because again, I feel that I'm being led to do this, but it's just a passion of mine. It always has been. And I had family members who used to tell me when I was younger, when I would do this back in my teens, that, you can't save everybody, you can't help everybody, but you said, you know what, I'm definitely going to try to do my very best to lead people on a path that I feel I'm driven. I've always been driven. It comes from within. I don't need anybody to crack the whip or tell me, but there are some that do. There are some that need that encouragement every day. And I noticed on my Facebook stream, I was talking to Paul about this earlier. One of my Facebook accounts got maxed out in 2 weeks because of I do these things called tankisms, and they played it on some show that got shown around the world, and just like that, it got maxed out, and people will leave me messages all the time. Thank you for that message that you gave on Monday. It really encouraged me. Thank you very much, because today I was having a very difficult day. If it does their heart some good, it does mine. It's just, I don't know. It's just part of my DNA, I guess.
And that's so important, because a lot of us, we get to a position where, like you said, your head blows up and you forget about giving back. You forget about the people that helped you to get to where you're at. But you've been able to stay very humble. You've been able to still give back. And I think being of service is a part of the gifts that God also gives us.
Well, isn't there the principle of tithing?
That's right.
Not just, it doesn't just, not talking about financial, time, talent, and your treasure. Yeah. So this is part of the time, and I have a talent to speak to people. At least I think so. Some people have said it. And this is my way of giving back.
It doesn't matter how mean a person is. If they do something good for somebody without looking for a reward in return, it does something to your heart.
Yes.
Some of us just thrive on that.
And I think it's important to mention that, because if you're out there and you're hurting and you're struggling, maybe you can give back. And if you give back, you'll find some fulfillment in that giving back.
That's the easiest way to conquer pain, actually, because if you read some psychology, you talk about a few things. A lot of that is actually selfish. As funny as it sounds, but your pain it's a selfish. So if you go out, if you're in need of something, go give it to somebody else, it comes back to you 10, 100-fold. It's the craziest thing.
Absolutely.
So,
well, Tank, I want to give some of your links out there so people can find out more information regarding Tank Jones. You can go to tankjones.com. You also have a Facebook page, /LarryTankJones.com. Your Instagram is at TankHeadJones, and your Twitter is Larry Tank Jones.
Yes.
Now, the film that you were just in, where can people find out more information regarding the film you were just in?
You can check if you go to IMDb, which is where most people go, you can find all my credits on there. But if you follow me on any of those, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I post daily now, and I'm posting from the set. The film I just did, Union Bound, that we were talking about, I just did a horror film. Yes, Void Finder, shooting a romantic comedy. We didn't really get to touch on it.
Well, before we go, I wanted to touch on. I know got an opportunity to do a little research on you regarding your IMDb. You're working on a couple pre-production projects. Is there anything you can talk to us about? Anything that you can let us know that you're working on currently?
You know, there's one Joel that I really want to talk about, but I can't. It's a project it involves some superhero type of things that we just did a promo for that I'm super excited about, but I can't go into it too much. But I still wanted to say something about it because when you see it, you'll know. There's another true story that I'm doing about Wilmington, North Carolina called A Reckoning. There's a story about the John the Baptist, or whether or not he actually died or not. The script is called I, John. Shout out to Cherie Wilson, who, if you don't know that name, she was the main character on Walker, Texas Ranger. She's a good friend of mine. We're doing this film together. I'm doing another film with Harvey coming up here pretty soon. There's a Western that I'm doing called The Deadliest Gun. And I also produced the Latin Comedy Jam and Fiesta Carnaval Latina. And they call me a Black Anisican because I'm black. I can speak Mandarin Chinese, and I promote Latin Mexican events. So they call me a Black
Well, that is good, because I found it interesting that you have this Latino comedy circuit that you're doing. You have something coming up. When is it? Where is it? Tell us a little bit about it. If
any of you guys are in and around Nevada, Jackpot, Nevada in particular, shout out to my business partner, Mike G, who we do this together. Twin Falls, Idaho, Boise. We're doing Fiesta Carnaval Latina June 24th and 25th at Cactus Peaks Casino. So if you're in the area, come on down. It's going to be a great time. We'll have Ramon Ayala. We'll have DJ Kane from the Cumbia Kings, the legendary Paul Rodriguez, who actually host our show live from the Laugh Factory that we do.
Paul
so
Rodriguez,
yes, it's gonna be a great time. So June 24th, 25th at Cactus Peaks in Jackpot, Nevada.
Well, Tank, I do want to thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, to find out more information, you can go to tankjones.com. You can find him on Facebook /LarryTankJones.com. His Instagram is @TankHeadJones. His Twitter is @LarryTankJones. But before we close out the show, we like to ask this of all of our guests. The name of the show is called Joy in My House. The premise is the joy that we have in the midst of our challenges, and for you in the midst of some of your amazing successes. But I got to ask you today on our Father's Day special, what does joy in my house mean to you in today's day and age, Tank?
Like you just said, joy in the house. I have, and part of my mantras, I have joy. God grant joy in my heart, mind, and spirit. And every time that I walk and I see my kids, regardless of whether they've done any right, wrong, or what have you, when I'm in that house and they're in there and they're giving me hugs and I'm loving on them, they're loving on me, that there's no joy like it. And there's also no joy like the joy between our relationship with our Heavenly Father as well, who makes all these things possible. So,
amen.
Yes.
Tank Jones, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Paul Obel, founder of Faith Unveiled Networks, thank you for coming on the show. I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you have an amazing day today. This is Joy in My House. Catch us live every Sunday here at noon with life-changing stories of hope and inspiration and talent that will inspire you. You guys have a blessed day.
Joy, I got joy.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
Joy in my house, joy in my house, joy.